Welcome to Success Factors. I'm your host, Brenda Siri, and I'm joined today by Jenn Congdon, SVP and Chief People Officer for M Financial. Welcome, Jenn.
Thanks, Brenda. It's nice to be here.
It's great to have you here. So let's start off with something I love to talk about. People in our demographic did not typically go to college to get into HR. And I'd love to know what your journey was from college to where you are today as the leader of the people at M Financial.
Yeah, so you're absolutely right. I totally fell into HR. I'm like, HR what? I was a communications major for undergrad, so mass communications and telecom. Went to James Madison University and just had this desire to do all things, television, right? Yeah. Behind the scenes. So I did all the videography and editing of live newscasts for WHSV TV3 in Harrisonburg, Virginia.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so I went from there and moved back to DC because after I graduated, they're like, hey, we're going to hire you. We're going to pay you $3.75.
Wow.
I know I am dating myself, but at the same time, that's what it was, right? And I had a fantastic opportunity to do what I call a glorified internship with National Geographic.
Amazing.
It was unbelievable. My husband and I both were photography minors in undergrad, and I had an opportunity to share all my photography work with the professional photographers at National Geographic and get some behind the scenes critiques, things I could do better, which was amazing in and of itself. But had this unbelievable opportunity to work for the vice president of National Geographic that had everything but the magazine. So she had World, she had Traveler, National Geographic TV, foreign editions, et cetera. And I had the opportunity to work on their first joint venture proposal to launch National Geographic in Japan. And so while I didn't get to go to Japan, it was really kind of, a catalyst into thinking about the world in which we live at a broader than the United States. And got really, really tired of the traffic in the DC area. I was like 11 miles away, hour and a half to 2 hours one way. Went on vacation in Colorado. Unbeknownst to my boyfriend at the time, husband now, I was interviewing for a job in-house at a temp agency.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you go from this globally recognized magazine to interviewing with a talent agency.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was crazy, right? And I got the job, right? And it was like the office manager for this temporary agency. And I told Mitch, I'm moving to Colorado. If you'd like to come with me, that'd be great. If not, it's been so much fun, and he moved out 6 months later.
Okay. So that sort of is how you transitioned from this life into HR?
Yeah, it was. The temporary agency actually had just hired an engineering director to do all of their engineering recruitment. Mm-hmm. With all of my journalism classes behind me, my communications classes where you're asking questions to get to the point of truth, it was such a natural transition to get into recruitment. Right. And while I was the office manager there, he really kind of taught me all things about recruiting and what you're looking for in a candidate and how you think about the client and that. And so I did that for about 9 months. And I'll be honest, I did not love the temporary agency environment. Yeah. I was kind of I wanted them to treat all the people that came through the door better, right? Because they're their bread and butter, they're helping them be successful. And so I actually went to the disk drive industry in Colorado and worked for Maxtor Corporation. And started off recruiting there. And then they also kind of took me under their wing and taught me all things HR. So
wow,
it was really great.
Yeah. So I know today, you in your career, you've been a global HR leader. Right. So what was your first global HR role now that you've transitioned into HR?
Yeah, my first global role was 4 years after I joined Maxtor. One of the gentleman that was over marketing and engineering, I believe, he started his own company called Storage Test Solutions. It was a small 20-person firm, and it was about 45% Russian, 45% Asian. We had 2% American, that was me, and Bolivian was the rest, made up the rest of this organization. So the demographic there clearly was international, but I had the opportunity to help them set up offices in Singapore, Philippines, and Malaysia.
Wow.
And I'm still kind of cutting my teeth somewhat in HR. Right? I haven't been in it that long, but it was such an amazing opportunity because the company was small, and with all small companies, you do more than HR. So they're leaning a lot on, hey, Jen, also do sales and marketing for us. I learned very quickly that doing sales and marketing on such a technical product was not my foray.
Yeah. So you're opening these offices for them in the Philippines and Malaysia. Because you were so new to HR and really cutting your teeth, how did you know what to do and to do it right?
Well, I hope I did it right. I engaged some of the local outside counsel in some of those countries just to really make sure that we were setting things up correctly. Mm-hmm. I wasn't doing it alone. The CEO and I were kind of in lockstep everywhere that we went when we were in those facilities. But the more you can reach out to your networks and have conversations with people, right, it was really how I kind of just learned as we did. Yeah. And we hired some really good people locally that also knew all the country laws and the things that we had to do correctly to get things going.
Yeah. And so now you've had a taste of global HR, and I know, you obviously left that company at some point in your career, and you've really worked, as an HR leader at some very big companies, Cisco, Honeywell. What did you learn from your time at those bigger companies versus the smaller company that sort of helped shape your career as an HR leader today?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say with Cisco, that was back when they were really kind of cutting edge, leading the way from an HR perspective, introducing the HR business partner, the centers of excellence. And so we were able to actually go through that migration. And I worked with them in two places. I worked with them both in Colorado and then in Texas. And we just acquired compatible systems. So I learned from, I guess one of the most important lessons I learned from Cisco was around M&A and integration. So I started the day after they acquired compatible systems. I had to learn Cisco, I had to learn compatible, integrate, hired 100 people in 6 months. And you just learn so much about this well-oiled machine. Right. And Cisco is very creative, out-of-the-box thinking. So that was one of my biggest takeaways from Cisco. Pivot to moving to Arizona and working for Honeywell Aerospace. Think process excellence. Right, they had that rigor in the routine, and continuous improvement was really a big part of the DNA. And being able to kind of couple that creative out of the box thinking with the process excellence, I think has been some of the biggest life lessons for me in HR.
Was that experience at Cisco with the M&A, was that your first time to ever go through something like that?
It was, other than kind of setting up those offices in some foreign countries. It was my first real M&A experience. Wow. And it was seriously, I think they wrote the playbook on how to integrate a company very quickly.
Yeah, it takes a lot. It really does. And then, there's so many things that if a company or if employees haven't gone through it, you can lose employees, you can gain great employees. Sometimes there's that, I don't want to work with these people because we're, it's tough.
It is. Well, and we experienced that. So we probably did, 4 or 5 acquisitions when I was at Cisco. And one of the things that they did was, from day one, you are an employee of Cisco. And this has been different over my career, working in different organizations. Like when I was at Xylem, it was more the brand led the acquisitions, right? So they had that market knowledge and market reputation. Whereas people are like, Xylem what? Right. Today, I think most people know Xylem, but at that point, the brand led it. Cisco, the brand leads it. And so we had some people that were very proud of their brand and who they were. And it was a little bit of a challenge, but you really help them understand from day one, this is why you integrate, and the really, really robust onboarding with them. And then one of the things I think that Cisco did really well that I would encourage any company to do, they took a senior leader and they partnered it with the CEO of the company that they had just acquired for 6 months, just shadowing. right? Teaching them all the processes, teaching them everything about the company and why they do meetings the way that they do meetings. And it was so effective.
Yeah, that's very smart, because there's nothing worse than being thrown into the bathtub to,
Right.
right? And, what is it? Baptism by fire. Just, if a company is going to acquire another company, it makes so much sense to say, we wanted you because you have great products, but we do have processes and procedures that we would like you to be a part of. And we're here for you to show you them, not figure it out, right?
Exactly
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, very smart.
Exactly right.
So, Jen, when I met you a couple of years ago, you were consulting, and you told me that your real passion was in global industrial manufacturing. Then you got this job at M Financial Group, which sounds completely different from the industry that you told me you felt really passionate about. So I want to know a little bit more about this organization and how it is now your passion.
Yeah, absolutely. And the power of networking, right, is how I actually ended up at M Financial. Was a colleague that I met through a networking group, and she's like, "You really need to meet the CEO." So M Financial has been around for, going better part of 40 years. 1978 is when they were founded by 4 individuals out in Portland, Oregon.
Okay.
And they were really looking for, how do we have proprietary product in the life insurance space? So M Financial is, think about insurance, reinsurance, wealth management, distribution. And we are, for lack of a better word, I guess the kind of the back office to all of our member firms. And so we have over 140 member firms across the nation and in the UK that are part of our member community. And in order to have access to any of the proprietary product that we have as an organization, you have to be an M member firm.
Okay. And so who are your target customers?
It's the member firms. So as we think about our vision for M, right? How do we help our member firms succeed, thrive, and realize their full potential? So everything that we're doing internally really is for our member firms. And then their end customer typically is the kind of the ultra high net worth individuals.
No chance for me. So some people may not know that when you're the head of HR, that means you got to go to all those board meetings. Yes. What's that like for you?
It's, I have been blessed with the opportunity to experience public boards, private equity or debt equity boards, and now like completely private. And there are some differences in each of those I guess company demographics. The public company, it really feels like they're trying to help you be as successful as you can. Your board mix is very different, right? You'll have people from different industries that are subject matters in technology and marketing and engineering, whatever it is really that you're trying to, what your goals of your organization are that you're trying to move forward with. And then debt equity, right? It's like, it's all about the money.
Yeah.
Right. Show me the money.
Right.
Right. And now with our member firms, with our current board structure, we have a couple of external board members, but the rest of it is comprised of our member community. And it's really thinking about them and their constituency and how they are trying to do the best and the right things for the organization that not only affects and helps their member firms, but the rest of their peer network group.
Thinking about yourself today and the path that you took from National Geographic, right, to working as, an HR leader, what would you tell someone who's in college right now? Because it is different today, right? Today, people actually go to college to get a degree in human resources management. So what would you tell someone today who is thinking about a career in human resources? How do you get from college to being a C-suite leader like you are? Yeah,
I was blessed to have an intern that went to my alma mater for grad school, where I went to Thunderbird, and she interned with us last summer, and we actually hired her at the end of the summer.
Nice.
So I will share some of the same advice that I shared with her. It's experience as much as you can. Right. I mean, I think one of the best ways to get into HR is actually through the recruitment, kind of similar to the path that I took, and not because I took that path, but when you're recruiting, you have to learn so much about the company and you have to learn so much about the person, right? And you're always asking questions to get to the point of truth.
Right.
Right. And every part of HR, to me, I feel like it leads with that. You're doing employee investigations, you're doing interviews, you're talking about engagement, you're always asking questions to get to the point of truth. And with young people that are in college that are looking to get into HR, I'm like, recruitment is I think it's a great foray into it, but then don't be afraid to go outside of that. Right. Don't be afraid to do a stint in the business. When I was at Honeywell, I did a stint in the business on a Honeywell operating system. I learned so much more about doing and then going back into HR and say, okay, now I've walked a mile in the manager's shoes as well as understanding HR inside and out. So I'm like, anytime someone asks you a question or asks you to take on a project, do it.
Good. I love that. That's really, really good advice. Absolutely. When you think about the leaders that you've worked for, is there one or two people who really invested in you, in your career, and helped you have the career you have today in HR?
Yeah, absolutely. There are two that jump out at me. One was Dutch Burfield, who I worked with at Honeywell, who saw something in me that I wasn't sure that I saw in myself, and it was a really interesting conversation, and I'll be brief on this, but there was an opportunity for getting my first HR director role. And he sat me down, he's like, Jenn, if you really want to get this HR director role and you look at your peers, he's like, you have every bit, the competency, the skill set and everything to do that. They have their master's degree. They're gonna get the edge. And so he actually invested in me to go to Thunderbird and paid for my exec MBA.
Nice.
And so that was absolutely amazing. I think that was also that catalyst to continue to grow and really having that business degree. The second person is, I would say, Robin Mingle. She's our CHRO at Xylem. And she also kind of saw something in me and continued to help stretch and grow. We are friends to this day. We get together every year a couple of times and continues to share information and nuggets. And Jenn, have you thought about this? Or, hey, I saw this great article. And, forging those relationships is so important.
It is. And it's so nice that she's not afraid to talk with you and say, hey, have you thought about this?
Right.
Because we
Absolutely.
always need to keep learning and growing, right?
And we don't always have that safe space, right? Being in HR,
right?
You need to find that community really that's kind of even outside of your work, and being able to talk with other CHROs is really beneficial.
It is, for sure. Yeah. Well, if there's someone watching today who wants to connect with you or learn more about the services that M Financial provides, where can they go to find that information? I know we've got a slide up here and I've got your email address. Hope you don't mind me sharing.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, absolutely. Reach out to me at jenn.congdon@mfin.com, or you go to my LinkedIn on, which will probably show up as Jennifer Ruth Congdon, to attract all my past people. Right. But yeah, absolutely. Reach out.
Good. Well, it's been a pleasure having you on today and learning about your journey from, we didn't even talk about the fact that you were a college basketball player, but your journey from graduating from college to, these amazing leadership roles in HR that you've had throughout your career. So thank you so much. I wish you continued success.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
You are welcome. And that's it for today's show. I'll see you next time. Bye.